Mari's depression deepened, and she shrank and grew smaller and smaller until she was wafer-thin and could slide under doors and across realities. And the wind carried her to the plane where Papa loved her, and to the dimension where Kid hadn't gone under that car, and to the actuality where the man who bought flowers at her flower shop bought those flowers for her. The wind curled her under and over and into herself like a ribbon, and she saw that there were places outside normal space and time where people sought her out, valued her opinion, asked her what she was thinking, called her darling, called her mother, called her Madam President, smiled unaffectedly at her. There were places where she had a dog named Yam, a cat named Cordelia, a boyfriend named Christopher, a fully working toilet, a little house that she loved, a big house, a mansion, a city named in her honor. She slipped and curled over gardens she had planted, past trees where she had scratched her initials, through the sand of beaches where she had just made love, a room full of her children. There were many places really that she saw where she would like to have stopped and grown and not been wafer-thin and carried by the wind, but she could not stop, and the wind just pushed her on and twisted her increasingly under and over herself, convoluting and complicating her until she began to knot, and it became increasingly difficult for her to negotiate the cracks of doors, of realities, of time, but still she could not stop. Soon there were few openings available to her, and she banged against apertures in the continuity of the universe that were too small for something so knotted around itself to pass through. But the wind pushed her against them without concern for the practicalities of it. Then there was nowhere, and she slammed against barred passageways like a moth outside the window of a lighted room, and she bounced hopeless and alone in nothingness, in darkness, until finally, after all that bouncing and pain, there was suddenly one place where she still fitted, and she passed into it and came to rest. There time became a solid thing, not fluid, and she passed no small amount of it on her floor, untangling herself like a crumpled-up ball of paper, slowly regaining something of its shape. And when she had, she passed more of it reflecting upon what had happened. There was a lesson after all. There is always a lesson. There were too many things, really. Too many things to stuff into her head, evaluate as a coherent whole, and really, the complexity of it all. Mari decided to look at herself in the mirror, in the room where it had all begun, and it was when she did that she came upon an answer. Her answer. It was that, really, she just wasn't thin enough.